Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program where everything is up for discussion. You got me, Jeff, alongside the lovely Shannon, reporting for duty. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, Jeff.
And we are here again at our new palatial studios here at LTV. We are calling this now the Mountaintop Studios.
I like it.
Kind of liking the view.
A lot more room.
Digging the digs, right? Pretty cool. A lot more room and a lot more toys to play with, and a lot more electronical functions than one man can ever feel comfortable with. But we're making a go of it, and we're happy to be here with you guys. And you are a busy girl this time of year. Of course, it is wedding season at Shancakes, and you are just like balls to the wall these days, aren't you?
Weddings and graduations. Oh my! So Shancakes has been busy. Very busy. I cannot complain. So I just want to thank all of you if you are watching and you've given us your business. Thank you. It's muchly appreciated, and we hope you enjoyed your fresh baked cake. And you're busy too.
I am. I've got a new show going on. The morning show has really seemed to have caught fire.
I know. I can't even call you anymore in the morning. Like, gotta call me at 11.
Gotta call at 11. Gotta call because we're on 3 times a week from 9:30 to 11, and it turns out that we're getting a lot of guests in here, which is pretty cool.
I saw that.
We're getting like 2 at a time now.
Yep. You've had the first test tube IVF baby here.
That
in the United States. You've had a lot of great talent, voiceover work lady, and
they brought food, which is cool. It's always good when they bring food.
And,
but in all seriousness, it's really taken on a life of its own, because they're now it's an opportunity for local musicians to come in and showcase their talent here on local television, and also now via the interwebs too. And as we always say, you don't have to be signed by a big act to be good.
That's right. And you take requests.
And we take all requests.
And you play all of mine.
I play everything, even if it sucks to me, I'll still play it anyway, which is all right, because I mean, what's good for some isn't always good for others. It's
all right. No, the fact that you take requests online and people can watch them all over the United States, it's a happening show. Good job with it. Good job. I'm very proud of you. Fun.
And if you guys want to join up on that, you can hit me here Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I surround the Jack and Jane show, which is on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and it always kicks off right here on LTV at 9:30. But we are well into spring. The weather is finally changing.
It was hot today.
It was finally feeling like a day like it should in the calendar.
Yeah.
We haven't had that yet. We've had a lot of weird weather.
It's the end of May. I mean, we should be really getting into some warmer weather. So, incoming thunderstorms, though, this is the time of year with thunderstorms. If you have pets, you have to be careful, as we do with our dogs. Any pets that are afraid of thunder. And there is a thing, Jeff. We bought it. It's called the Thunder Coat.
Oh yeah, that thing works good.
It's like a burrito for your dog, but it actually simulates them being hugged. It's this really tight wrapped sort of toga looking thing that you wrap around your dogs for under $30. And I got to say, I see a significant difference in Meadow when thunderstorms hit.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got a dog that absolutely not only has issues, but also has seizures because of these issues. So, we've got to be really careful. And I'm sure there's a lot of pet owners out there going, yeah, my dog just freaks out over
Thunder Coat, guys. Thunder Coat. It works well. You can buy them on eBay, Amazon, wherever, PetSmart, Petco. But it works well if you can figure out how to put it on your dog.
We're not going to endorse products here too much, but it's a good idea.
We use it.
Yeah, we do use it. And now, speaking of weather, I did get a chance, and we're going to tease this a little bit, because later in the show, I actually got to talk to our meteorologist, Mark Rosenthal, concerning
concierge
extreme weather. Because, I mean, we've got questions. You and I travel a lot.
Yep.
We do quite a bit of air travel.
Yep.
And it just seems that, now more than ever, and I don't know if it's because of awareness because of the internet, but it just seems now more than ever you're hearing all these reports about turbulence.
It's the time of year too. It really is. It's a time of year. But yes, dangerous turbulence happening left and right. People are getting hurt, and there are a lot of airlines making emergency landings now all of a sudden with this stuff. Well, what is going on?
It is interesting to me, and we're going to hear more from Mark on it later after the Who Does That, because he kind of puts it into the perspective, with the weather and how it affects turbulence, and whether we should be concerned, whether we should not be concerned. But I'll tell you, as somebody that travels, air travel with you, it seems more than ever now that we're hearing about more frequent major air turbulence instances where people are getting hurt, people are getting sent to the hospital. So I did a little investigative journalism. I actually asked a couple of folks that I know that are going to remain nameless that actually work for the airlines.
Oh, really?
Okay. And we got the inside skinning on them, because my take on it is, maybe with all this technology, Shannon, I have to ask, why in the world are we experiencing turbulent troubles now? With all the technology, can't they see this stuff coming? I mean, can't they fly around it? You and I talk about it all the time.
Well, from what I'm seeing in television broadcasts and stuff, that they don't see it coming, that they don't hear about it from prior, airlines and pilots and air traffic control. They just have no idea it's coming. And if they know it's coming, they can accelerate, X amount of feet or decelerate, whatever they're going to do.
It is very unpredictable. But let me throw this into the mix for you for a second. And you and I talked about this a lot, especially on the heels of 9/11. Airlines, it's no secret that they've been losing money. A lot of them have been having financial difficulties. So what happens? There's corners being cut, and I know
scare the crap out of the passengers to save money.
I know you're laughing over there, but
that's the worst.
This is something that I have always, had some sort of ideas about, but now I've got some confirmations because I've actually talked to some airline employees.
I'm dying.
It is true that because of airline companies that are losing money, there are shortcuts being taken. And I will look directly into the camera and tell you that. There are materials that are being shortcutted on that are not as good materials as what used to be in these airplanes. They're using pop rivets that are imported instead of ones made here in the U.S., for example. They are using cheaper materials throughout the airplane. They are actually rushing through maintenance in order to save money. Now, I will tell you this. Maybe, perhaps, they're taking more chances because think about it, Shannon. All the airlines now are under so much scrutiny, under so much pressure to be on time. Everything's going to be on time, on time, on time. Well, there's lots of shit that happens during the course of a day that throws these things off kilter. So what do? You maybe push the boundaries a little bit. Maybe you push the limits a little bit. And I honestly think that's what we're seeing here. I think that we're seeing now airline companies that are pushing boundaries in lieu of profits. And
I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong because we've seen some scary turbulence before in our lives. I had a stewardess on my lap in one flight coming back from Europe, and people get hurt. People can get really, really hurt. She could have gotten hurt. I could have gotten hurt. Sent me into a full-fledged panic attack.
Just in the last couple of weeks, there's been, airline crews that have gone to the hospital. Yeah. There's been refrigerators that have fallen out of
Never mind the trauma. I mean, you'll never forget that. The poor kids, the adults, people are raising their arms and they are praying. I mean, God.
Well, usually it's funny because, you say that, but usually it's like the passengers. The passengers are all freaking out and we're all just praying and we're
understandably so.
And the stewardesses are usually walking around going, "Oh, this
cool
is nothing.
Cucumbers,
this is
I know.
Piece of cake, no problem." But I will tell you that the incidents that you were talking about, she ended up in your lap. She wasn't as cool as a cucumber. She wasn't as comfortable as we've seen stewardesses in that position before.
We went to the back of the plane and we did some yoga techniques and breathing. Remember that? I had to be removed.
Yeah, you had to be removed. You were having some serious issues there.
They do act cool as cucumbers, and they always say, we see it every day. It's our job.
You see it every day.
We see it every day. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I always have a meditation thing that I do personally during turbulence. I envision certain things in my head, and you just have to kind of think in your head, you know what, we're going to land.
Okay.
And then whatever kind of celestial help that you need to land the plane, you just think we're going to land no matter what.
Yeah. And if that's, hopefully there's not a medical crew waiting there for you.
And if that's not my time, then what a way to go. People will remember that for a while. So, you know what? I accept it.
Well, I did some more investigative journalism as well. And again, we're going to get this from the chief meteorologist here himself.
I can't wait.
But, what happens to a plane when it's in turbulence?
I have no idea.
And I did some research on it, and it's kind of like steering a car in the snow.
Yeah.
What you picture in your mind is the airline pilot sitting there fighting the airplane because he's trying to hold, and it's actually just the opposite, Sheila.
Thanks for the visual.
They actually just let go of the wheel, and there's a turbulence mode that kicks in. And it actually allows the plane to center itself.
Is it right next to the button where it says autopilot when they're drinking too much? Yeah. They just push the button and it brings them there?
But, instead of perhaps, and I don't know the correct term, but overcompensating or oversteering, they have a mode that they put the plane in during turbulence so that the plane can correct itself.
Really?
And they basically just let go of the wheel, let things happen, and they assure you that the plane isn't going to flip out of the sky.
Okay, and have a little turbulence here, folks. We're going to be just fine in a couple of minutes. Please fasten your seatbelts.
Oh yeah, it's like I always joke around. It's like when the captain comes on. Yeah, when the captain comes on. Yeah, we're cruising at 30,000 feet. And,
we'll be just fine.
We're gonna expect some mild bumps and discomfort on the way in. Just mild.
Enjoy some free rosary beads, everybody, if you want to say a couple prayers.
Well, I'll tell you, when the pilot comes on and says there's going to be some mild turbulence, that's the equivalent, folks, of being in the dentist chair when he tells you you're going to feel some mild discomfort when he's pulling your teeth out, because it's about the same thing.
You're going to feel some pressure here.
Yeah.
It sucks all around.
We've been on some roller coaster rides, though.
We've been on some roller coaster rides, but you know what? We're here. All the flights that we've had, we're here. And I just hope that, one of us never encounters the masks coming down sort of turbulence you're hearing about on the news.
I do not want to do that. That's one thing that I'll shit my pants.
Yep.
Sorry. I don't want to see the mask coming down. I don't want to see air pressure. And you remember, you got to put your own mask on before
assisting others.
Now, how's that going to go over? Folks, you guys know.
There's a reason for that.
You guys know my wife, right? You guys know Shannon. Can you see her sitting there watching me put my mask on? It's kind of like with the Tarzan and Jane commercial where they're swinging.
Do you have to do that in my ear? I'm going to be looking at you going, really, Jeff?
Do you got to put your mask on first?
What am I going to do? Just
what
sit
kind of
there
gentleman are you? What kind of man are you? I'm sitting here with my mask off.
I'm capable, unless my arm is in two casts and I can't put on my own mask. But
you just never know.
I don't want to have to reach that point. But the reason why they say that is because in order for you to assist others, you have to be able to get yours on first.
That's true.
I mean,
you're no good for anybody else if you're not
right. If you're putting it on the 4-year-old kid who's squirming and screaming, you're going to die.
Right.
And then they're not going to have a parent, and then you can't help the person next to you. So
good point.
Yeah.
Good point. You got to be functioning yourself to help others, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to think about that stuff anymore. It's stressing me out.
No, I don't either. No, not right now. All right, guys, we're going to step out when we come back. Shannon's going to bring you, as only she can, the Who Does That right here on Up for Discussion on LTV.
Up for Discussion with Jeff and Shannon Sylvia. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hear that music, it can only mean one thing. It's that segment of the program when Shannon Sylvia asks, who does that? And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Shannon Sylvia.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the awesomest, bestest, most amazing part of Up for Discussion. Just kidding. I like this segment, though. I like doing it.
It always has been.
It's been years, and it just kind of breathes a little life into stories and makes you scratch your head and go, what the fa?
As Dennis would say.
What the fa, as Dennis would say.
Yeah.
So the first story comes out of Deltona, Florida. Which is, Jeff?
Not Canadian.
Not Canadian.
Okay.
And, if you're a regular of the show, you understand where that comes from, too. A Florida woman had her windshield shattered when a turtle came crashing through as she drove down a local interstate lately.
Poor turtle.
Nicole Janes shared a photo of the incident, the poor thing, which took place on I-4 near Deltona on Monday. So this happened today, she writes, alongside photos of turtle and the shadow windshield. On I-4, he lived. And okay, I'm okay. I'm just shaken up.
So let me ask, was this some sort of flying turtle? And how did it end up in the air?
Maybe it's kind of like the fish that came out of the sky, Jeff. Maybe it's raining turtles.
It could be.
Old story.
Oh,
obscure
man.
reference. I'll explain. The turtle can be seen laying on its back on the dashboard after the Florida Highway Patrol officers said it was run over by the car in front of her. A vehicle in front of Jane's car ran over the turtle. And turtle was thrown airborne, struck the windshield, shattering it, says ABC News. She was driving about 75 miles an hour at the time.
Oh.
Are we supposed to be admitting that?
Really? Was there a citation issued?
I don't know if you're allowed to go that fast out there, but she noticed debris near the road, but she didn't see the turtle until it was flying through her windshield.
Oh, my God.
Another obscure reference, Jeff. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Didn't they have capes?
Yeah, they sure did. They flew pretty good.
She was treated for minor cuts at the scene, but Janes and the turtle walked away from the accident without serious injuries. She also wrote on Facebook that she would like to have kept the turtle, but it was ultimately placed in a nearby pond, and luckily it swam away.
Okay.
So
Who does that?
Who does that? This is a good one for you. This one I'll never completely understand. This next story. It comes from Palencia, Spain.
Okay.
A Spanish soccer team has unveiled a set of shocking new uniforms meant to resemble the musculature of a human body.
Oh.
Gross. We saw that exhibit. Remember Bodies?
Yeah. Bodies at the Science Museum.
So all
It's
of a
kind
sudden,
of graphic, isn't it?
that exhibit was probably the most graphic thing we've ever seen together. I mean, that was guts and bodies. But you know what? It is educational, though, to see what the human body looks like from a longtime smoker.
Sure.
The black in the lungs. And anywho, so Club Deportivo Palencia Balompi, I don't know what that is, but it shared photos of its players donning the inside-out uniforms, designed to look like the soft interior portion of human muscle.
Ew.
Is this what we need to see on the soccer field?
Kids.
Really?
Time and place.
Most of the players' uniforms are a fleshy red color. The goalies can be seen sporting the muscular pattern in a purple hue.
Ew.
What the heck?
Gross.
Italian sportswear company Kappa designed the uniforms in preparation of the team's upcoming playoff, which they will look like. They're going to be promoted to a higher division at this time. According to The Local, which is a paper out there, the skinless look was meant to be a visual representation of the phrase "give skin," which means to give one's all.
Okay.
Who does that?
Give me some skin, baby.
It's like the meat dress that Lady Gaga wore. That is just disturbing. I don't understand it.
It is kind of wrong.
I really don't. So the final story, Jeff, hails out of Montreal, which
It's Canadian.
It's Canadian. There's always one. I'm kind of gravitating toward these Canadian stories. A Quebec man was actually seen using a drone to herd sheeps from his
Why not?
From his field to his
They're using
barn.
drones for everything these days.
Oh my God! I'm still trying to get my package from Amazon delivered by drone. But a Quebec drone enthusiast put his hobby to practical use with an internet first, using the flying device to herd sheep into a barn.
Okay.
Did
it work?
Looks like it did. David Freyhart posted a video to YouTube showing how he used his camera drone to herd the sheep at his friend's farm from the edge of a field to a barn.
Okay.
Interesting. He branded his accomplishment an internet first. My friends have a small farm in Quebec, he wrote online. They gave me permission to check out one of my drone bucket list things and to herd their sheep back into the barn using the drone. His previous attempt at putting his drone hobby to practical use by making tea for his wife ended in a spilled glass and a crashed drone. So I do think we have something, though, with sheep herding.
It could be. Could be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as the old famous line is, who does that?
Who does that? Who does that? Using drones even. Well, all right. Well, we're gonna. I think we should check in with Mark Rosenthal.
Of course,
you and I, we do a lot of traveling, and I wanted to ask him about this whole turbulence thing because weather these days. Everybody's talking about extreme weather and how 2 years ago we had the most snow ever, and then this year we have hardly any, and El Nino. Very good point. All right, let's check out and see what Mark Rosenthal has to say. And as Shannon and I were talking off air about our air travel and turbulence and weather, none better than to bring in then our chief meteorologist and friend, Mark Rosenthal. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. And tell me, is there any truth to any of this like extreme weather stuff that everybody's talking about?
Well, first of all, it's great to be here. And secondly, when you make out the check for my appearance today, it's just Rosenthal with one L.
Okay, I gotcha. You got it, pal. Now, I mean, Shannon and I do a lot of air travel, and of course, you're talking about turbulence, and everybody says, okay, turbulence is part of the deal, and it always is. But there seems to be all these reports coming out about, just yesterday, a crew got tossed around to the point where they had to go to the hospital. Refrigerators are breaking free and tumbling amongst the passengers. Passengers, more often than not now, are being escorted to hospitals after coming off of these turbulent air flights. What does that have to do with extreme weather in today's world?
Something, it really doesn't. It's just springtime. So, of course, winter's leaving, and it's a big battle between the cold that's left over and spring and summer warmth trying to come in. So you get a big contrast to the air mass and the temperature, the temperatures in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which create the jet stream. So the jet stream, the stronger the jet stream, the more problems you could potentially have with turbulence, certainly when you're flying 20, 30, 35,000 feet. And that's what's going on right now. you can hit, thunderstorm turbulence, and you get bounced around pretty good. But there's really no changes. It's just, right now it's the time of year.
Then you've also seen a tremendous change in forecasting technology, the way that we predict weather now with Doppler and forecasting. Now, can't we assume, or at least, acknowledge at some point with today's technology, that we should be avoiding this turbulence? I mean, should it be as abstract as it is to try to avoid this stuff?
Well, sometimes radar can't always see it. Doppler radar can't forecast turbulence, but they can see severe weather. Sometimes you just have these funky kind of, wind shift eddies that are happening. A thing called clear air turbulence, Jeff. It can be a totally clear day and you're flying along and everything is fine, but you get these pockets of different wind speeds or wind, direction called wind shear, which sometimes is not forecastable. And the plane will hit that, and you get wow, and all of a sudden you come up and down. So that's one of the things. A lot of times, if you're flying past a mountain range, you get the winds that are either coming up on one side and coming down on the other side. If you're anywhere near that in the plane, you might have some kind of an effect. I mean, there's many different causes of, turbulence. Some of it you can forecast. Certainly in severe weather and big, thunderstorms, we can see that easily. But other times in clear air turbulence, you can't forecast it.
Oh, sure. Coming into Colorado, of course, over the mountain range, you do get that wind shear, and it is a bumpy ride in. But,
right.
Should we be concerned as passengers now? I mean, you're seeing it be very violent. You're seeing people actually, being taken to the hospital because of this stuff. And maybe a question a little bit outside of weather, but I just want your opinion. And because of the extreme weather, because of the jet streams and stuff, do you think that with air travel and the pressures on airlines to be on time and to meet their schedule, do you think that they're maybe pushing limits a little bit when it comes to wind shear?
I think that's a possibility. I think that's an excellent question. I think, there's so much pressure today. There's so many flights. It's the product and demand. So many more folks are flying today, so they need to get there. So they might be taking chances today where they wouldn't take a long time ago. Now, I'm not talking about radical changes like flying into a severe thunderstorm if they see it straight ahead, but maybe taking off when they really shouldn't or landing in a place where they really shouldn't. But now, with the sophistication of Doppler radar and all the other weather tools that we have so much more information in terms of what we call nowcasting. That's getting a good sample of what's going on right now versus the computer models trying to forecast in the future. So that being said, they should be aware of what's going on. So if there's a problem, they might be taking a chance.
And I mean, why are we hearing more and more about, planes being jostled around, folks being hurt inside of airplanes? As much as refrigerators being tossed around in cabins and people having to be taken to the hospital. And these is just recent events over the last, let's say, 6 months to a year. Why are we hearing more about this now than ever when planes have been flying in the 70s?
Social media is a major mouthpiece to really talk a lot about other things that are going on in the world today. I mean, when you think about before the platform of social media, you just had newspaper and you had TV and radio. Now, I mean, with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and everything else out there, when it's happening now, so you can get so much more data, lifetime data, and that might be one of the issues.
It does change everything, doesn't it?
Oh, it's unbelievable. So now, it's really funny, Jeff, because everybody is a reporter in the field now, for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Anybody with a cell phone's a full-time reporter.
That's
now.
Right. So sometimes, sometimes the information's embellished and sometimes it's not totally accurate. But certainly, if somebody's in an airplane, they're going to report something that may not have been, reported before because of that.
Sure. Okay. And one last question as we let you go here. Extreme weather. We talked about it a little bit earlier. You're kind of downplaying it, saying there is no extreme weather. It's kind of the way things are.
No. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying there is no extreme weather. There's always been extreme weather.
Well, okay. With that said, always been extreme weather.
Sure.
Why is it so much now? Where one year you'll have record snow, and then the next year you'll have record warmth with no snow. Why the big change like that?
Well, sure. It's always been that way. It's always been that way. And once again, the media, and I'm sure in some level of mind, you've been primed by all this stuff that you've heard about. Oh, the climate's changing and global warming, and we've never seen this before, and what's old is what's new. That's the problem. What's old is what's new.
Okay.
We're oversensitized, in my view, to things that have always been going on in the climate. All of a sudden, not to get into this whole big thing, but when they talk about global warming, which I don't believe in, they don't give you the other sides of the story about all the drivers in the atmosphere, that all the things that potentially could be going on besides CO2, which is 0.04 of a gas in the atmosphere, which in my view doesn't really amount to a hill of beans. That's not the main driver of all the crazy weather. I mean, with, sunspot cycles and ocean temperature, fluctuations across the globe, adding so much heat into the atmosphere and changing the jet stream pattern, almost like a domino set when you were a kid, and how it affects everything across the globe. Those are some of the players that, the real people that are doing the science on this, or the journalists, should be digging deeper in this and saying, well, wait a minute. And they know this, but it's not sexy, so it doesn't sell.
Well, talking about sexy and selling and maybe digging into deeper into something, do you find any belief into perhaps man-made weather? Folks, a man affecting the weather with things that we're doing.
Well, I mean, that sort of plays into the global warming thing, because the global warming premise is based on the fact that man, an industry is putting so much CO2 into the atmosphere that it's warming. It's a warming gas. It's being trapped, and that's not true. I mean, sure, I'll say this. I don't think the atmosphere is an endless well. I don't think, the big countries, China, India, all these folks that are dumping into the atmosphere, that it's not going to go without some consequence somewhere down the road. And by the way, years past, the whole big thing, if you can remember, with the acid rain was going to end the world.
Of course.
The acid rain is killing this and acid rain is killing that. You see how quietly that went away, right? It's not like we've really cleaned up the atmosphere that much. So now the latest, biggest cry over the last 5 to 10 years is global warming now because of this. So forget the acid rain because of the junk in the atmosphere. It's the Earth is warming. No, the Earth warms and cools. We're in cycles, but most of that is driven by ocean temperature fluctuations. When it's warm in the Pacific and cold in the Atlantic, it does all kinds of funky things to the atmosphere in the jet stream. And when we go through all these cycles, then you have other, I'm not going to bore you with this, but there's an entity called the Madden-Julian oscillation, after a fellow named Madden-Julian, who discovered that clusters of thunderstorms that develop and ebb and flow in the tropics sort of circle the globe in very low latitudes, and that puts a lot of energy into the atmosphere and changes the jet stream. So depending what phase the MJO is in at a certain time of year, that could potentially have an effect on the jet stream as well. But nobody's writing about this stuff. So as a weather person, I listen to this and it's so frustrating. They're not doing true journalism on terms of the weather drivers. So the average person at home doesn't get fair and balanced information. So they get hype, they get fear, and that drives the global warming thing. Well, something, here's the bottom line. Everything we've seen before. Nothing sticks and holds. You have to remember this, and everybody out there listening to this. I don't care what kind of weather you've seen anywhere in the country or the world. It never holds. You hear about these terrific storms and this and that, drought, floods, severe weather. It's the atmosphere ebbs and flows. It's the extremes that make up the norms. What we've seen before, we've seen now, we'll see again.
All right. Meteorologist Mark Rosenthal, thank you so much for joining us. So we're not going to stop traveling. We're not going to worry about our air travel or anything like that. We're good to go.
As my pal Dick Albert used to say, it's MOTS. It's more of the same.
All right. More of the same it is. And hopefully we'll get more of you, Mark Rosenthal. Come back again and join us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. It's he's
learn something new every day.
He's putting the kibosh on the whole thing. He's saying that weather is weather, and it's always changing. It's just repeating and repeating, and he doesn't seem to be very concerned about this at all.
No greenhouse effect mentioned there or anything.
No greenhouse effect.
It is what it is.
Global warming may have a little bit to do with it, but that's a story for another day.
Excellent.
All right. We want to thank you guys for joining us here on the show, as always. Join us here each week on Up for Discussion Live, when we bring you some great guests, bring you some very cool topics, and of course Shannon will bring you all that and the Who Does That as well. Thanks so much for watching us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Up for Discussion Live is brought to you in part by Lemonster Storage Solutions, Sasquatch Coffee, Mariano's Restaurante,